Hello and welcome to another edition of Good Morning Pattaya, Pattaya Channel's very own breakfast show. I'm your host, Nick Pendrell, and joining me as usual is my right-hand man, Mr. Dave D. How you doing?
Good morning, Nick. How are you?
I'm very good, and your good self?
Good ride in this morning, nice and easy, not too much on the traffic side.
Good,
but,
no, not at this time.
Spent a bit of time at the traffic lights reading this, believe it or not.
Really? Have you got a new magazine? Well, by coincidence...
Coincidence?
We actually have Simon from Pattaya City Uncovered here.
Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Good morning, Simon.
Nice to see you here.
Very much. Nice to be here.
So, Pattaya City Uncovered, I've seen it around Pattaya, but it's quite a new publication, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But the first issue came out on the 1st of May.
Right.
Obviously, it's a monthly publication. Obviously, it'll be out every month on the 1st as of now.
Right, and it's the first thing that struck me is it's a very attractive looking magazine.
Yeah, we've tried to sort of go for the sort of higher end tourist market.
Right.
You know, we want it to be out there. We wanted to make sure that every person we put in there, you know, their advert looks very nice. It's got a lot of content in there, which is different.
And speaking of content, Simon, I mean, have you sort of put it into segments inside of your magazine? I mean, you know, what kind of segments have you got in there?
Yeah, the magazine itself is split into 5 different sections. Pattaya by Day, which is obviously everything that you can do during the day. Pattaya Restaurants, which is a fine dining guide. Pattaya Living, which is for tourists and expats that want to spend a little bit, you know, extend their stay here a little bit longer. Pattaya Nightlife, and then you know, a basic sort of guide to Pattaya real estate. So they're the 5 different sections.
And what about sort of like, you know, write-ups and things like that? Do you collect stuff in from customer base or from guests in Pattaya or anything like that? Yeah,
I mean, everyone that we do an article on, we send our writers in to do a monthly feature on every single person that advertises in there. You know, that's really where we want to be different. We don't want people sort of flicking through a tourist magazine just seeing adverts for either a pub, club, restaurant or venue. We really want to talk about what's either happening that month, you know, what they can expect in the month of May, June, July, or the forthcoming months.
I mean, we've spoke about this in the past as well, me and Nick on various occasions, and we always say that a good magazine, Nick, with plenty of content is a good read, isn't it?
Exactly.
You know, of course, you've got to have the adverts there, you've got to have the people that, you know, bring in the money, so to speak, but at the same time, you've got to make it interesting.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you know, is that what you're trying to achieve with this?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And, you know, the feedback so far, I mean, it's very encouraging from my point of view. A lot of the venues that I've been in and distributed the magazine, it's fantastic because I've walked in and there's guests sat there and they're sat there reading it for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. And that's really what we want. You know, we want people to, you know, looking forward to the next publication, you know, what are they going to write about this venue next? Because that's also how, you know, as a magazine, we get a lot of repeat business, which is great. Right.
So, was it yourself who had the original idea?
There's 2 of us. There's myself and my partner, Aaron.
Right.
We were the 2 people that came up with the idea. Sort of back in December, really. So it's sort of 6 months in the making so far.
Sure, doesn't happen in
doesn't happen overnight. That's for
5
sure.
minutes. No, it takes a lot of work to get to that quality. So, what was sort of going through your head? Did you see that were you unhappy with the choice of media that was around Pattaya?
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in websites before
right.
with a company called Rawding Friendly, which is Thailand's largest business directory and locator. And a lot of the customers that I was talking to was saying that in every venue that we operated in, because that was national, you know, Bangkok had a very, very good media circulation. Right. But Pattaya just seemed to lack something. You know, when I picked up the majority of the magazines, they tended to be sort of more aimed toward the expats as opposed to all the tourists.
Yes.
And from my point of view, the tourists that come here, they're the guys that are spending the money.
Oh, definitely.
You know, and they're the people really that we want to attract to the venues that advertise in the magazine.
And of course, new content. I mean, you know, who's the guy that's out there finding the new content all the time? Because of course you'll get, and I mean, I would imagine that you get your advertisers, Nick, as you know, who will take an ad out for X amount of months or anything. But of course, then you've got to fill in all the gaps. Sure. I mean, who's doing that side of it?
It's really split. I mean, I'd say it's probably, you know, 33 between myself, my writer, and also the people that advertise in the magazine. You know, I come from a marketing background myself, so I had a marketing company in England for 10 years before I moved to Pattaya. So what I discuss with every people that advertise in the magazine is what we can do for them on an ongoing basis. I'm trying to become like a marketing solutions for people who are running businesses that don't necessarily have that marketing experience and don't really know how to advertise their business. They're great at running the business, but as opposed to advertising it and getting it out there, that's really what we're trying to provide.
And it's obviously an English language magazine, but in Pattaya we're getting a lot of visitors. They speak English as a second language. Are you finding that you're getting quite a wide readership into?
We are. A lot of people have suggested that we convert it into other languages, but at the moment, I really want to keep the focus on where we're at. We're targeting the sort of the higher end, sort of 4 or 5 star hotels, and all the sort of high volume traffic areas in Pattaya. So at the moment, we're looking to keep it just in English, but things change. So
exactly.
Moving forward, we may put it into other languages.
And what about like the actual magazine itself? You say that it's Pattaya City uncovered.
Yeah.
Are we likely to see Bangkok City or whatever uncovered?
It's a very good question.
Uncovered. Are those guys? They've got to be. When you come out with a magazine with that name, then it's got to be that it's going to follow suit, surely.
The natural progression will lead down that route. I'm being honest, we have got the domain names and everything for everywhere else.
Right.
Surprised.
But one step at a time. The first one's only just come out, so I want to make sure that we establish ourselves well. And for me, it's not about being everywhere. It's about having a quality publication that, also that the people who advertise are getting good responses back from. From my point of view, from the person who delivers the magazine, it's about people getting, return on investment for them. I want people walking into their establishments with my magazine going, I saw you guys in here, because that's what gets people repeat business coming back in, and that's very important.
Distribution, of course, I would imagine that you've got your guys out there that distribute it. Are you distributing to set places or anywhere?
Bit of both, really. We wanted to think outside the box again. What I've got is I've exclusively sponsored these, they're sort of 6'1" by 1.2 meters, tourist information brochure stands. At the moment we've got 56 of them, but I'm planning to get that to 80. And we exclusively sponsor these stands, and I've sort of gone into partnership with them. So that we've got them in all around sort of Central Festival, Mike's Shopping Mall, the Avenue, Walking Street, all the tourist destinations like Floating Market and the Sanctuary of Truth. Soys 5, 6, 7 and 8, and all the 4-star hotels between Soy 1 right the way up to Walking Street. So we've tried to cover every base. We've also got the guys at door to door delivering them straight to people's houses when they order some food on the telephone. And then we've also got our own guys sort of out distributing them out to the high volume tourist areas.
In today's market, Nick, the printed version, we all agree that the printed version is still good, it's still out there, and people still like to read it wherever they read it. But of course, in today's market now, with the moving technology, of course, like the net and apps and things like that, is that some way you're going to go on that?
100%. It's something that we're already doing, quite extensively. We've got a very large social media group and following that's growing by the day. We also send out, at the moment, there's only over 1,500 e-magazine subscribers, and we've only been pushing that since the 1st of April. So in just over sort of 8 weeks, we've had an uptake of around 750 a month. So we're really hoping to sort of get that over the sort of 4,000 or 5,000 where it becomes quite powerful. But we're pushing that, and we've also got guys working on our social media 5 days a week. So everybody that advertises in the publication, we also push. If it's a restaurant, we'll do their daily specials. If it's a venue, we'll promote. If it's a house night, techno night in the club, we'll push them out through the social media.
With the apps today, Nick, as you know, people can push through messages or whatever on phones. It's great if you've got a kind of app that can sort of bring people up to date on the latest story and all that kind of thing, an exclusive or whatever, and sometimes you can sort of coincide it with when the magazine's coming out or anything. I think it's a great way to go.
Oh, definitely. You get the best of both worlds then, because
absolutely.
you get the people who are passing through on the tourist side. They're probably only going to be here for 2 weeks, and the magazine's the best way of getting through to them. But then with the expat population as well, they're going to want to make sure that they don't miss out on any issue coming through. So it makes a good combination.
So this is just concentrated at the moment, Simon, then on Pattaya, yes?
Yes, at the moment,
okay.
yes.
and then of course the national ones that you might end up doing. I mean, will there also be like a main one? You know, like if you end up with all these different places where you, well, you know, if you end up with Pattaya and Phuket and Bangkok or whatever, you know, you've got all these different magazines out in wherever you are. Would you end up with like one that gives them a little bit of everything?
I'd like to think so, but at the moment, as I said, I mean, that's a bit too, you know, I don't want to sort of run before I can walk.
Sure.
You know, ideally, in an ideal world, that'd be a fantastic idea, and obviously then get all the corporate groups obviously advertising in the main one, and then maybe have some little features obviously for people who are travelling around. But at the moment, as I said, we're really just focusing on sort of what's happening here, and trying to get this one to be, you know, the premier magazine in Pattaya.
And what's the print run for issue?
At the moment, we're printing 3,000 hard copies. Although, being honest, it's now we're sort of halfway into the month, and we're sort of, you know, we're running out of copies pretty fast. So that, you know, we may look to get that to sort of 4,000 and 5,000.
Okay.
Again, depending on the uptake of the e-magazine. What we're hoping is that once people get to know us, we won't have to print so much. We can save on cost, and then obviously push the e-magazine subscribers out. But again, that's something that we're looking at very closely. Yeah.
And have you got some early feedback? I know it hasn't been out that long, but
we've had a lot of feedback. Being honest, it's been very, very good. You know, there's been a couple of venues where we dropped off 20 on the first day, and there, you know, there's been 2 venues in particular. It's now halfway through the month, and between the 2 venues, they've probably had over 250 copies of the magazine.
Wow!
And that's just in 2 venues. You know, they're calling us every day. Can you deliver some more? Which is great. And as I said, I was out over the weekend, and it was one of the venues that I walked in, and there was a copy in every table, and people sat there reading it.
Oh, that's the
you know,
best sight you can possibly see as a publisher.
For sure.
So, and feedback from readers?
The feedback from the readers has been that the content has been very good, that it is a good read. And that's what we want, you know, that's the challenge. You know, it's very easy to put out one magazine that's very good. What we now have to do is consistently, you know, push out a good quality magazine, you know, where people enjoy the read.
Absolutely.
And, you know, that's the test now moving forward for sure.
I mean, it is a shame sometimes when you get a good looking magazine and you basically just do this, and it's just...
Exactly.
It's flip through, there's nothing in there.
There's nothing there, there's no content to it. I mean, like you say, if you have got a good magazine with good content, people will read it, because, you know, there's a lot of expats here or whatever, tourists, and they want information. Information is what you need in Pattaya.
When you came up with the concept, were you targeting a particular audience?
Yes, and again, that's, you know, it's a good question. We really wanted to target the high-end tourist market. You know, we did a lot of research into the types of people that visit Pattaya, and the people that stay in sort of 4 to 5-star hotels that have got to be a little bit more of a disposable income. They're the guys that we wanted to target, because the people that are going to advertise in this magazine want the spenders in their restaurant, bar, nightclub, or, you know, buying real estate or whatever. So from the research that we did, the average person that stays in a 4 to 5-star hotel here will be here for a period of 10 days, and will have between 75 and 100,000 baht over that 10 days to spend. Obviously, what we want is to, you know, people advertising that magazine where they can go and spend that money. And they're the people that we're targeting.
No, that's you can't get better than that when it comes to the demographics. It's exactly what everybody wants to do. And there's really, I can't think of any competition who's been going after that market in particular.
Not at the moment, obviously, touch wood. But yeah, I mean, that's where we saw the gap. You know,
they always say that competition's good anyway, because it keeps you on your toes. I mean, you know, it's very easy to come out with a new magazine, a great magazine, but like you said, it's following it up. You know, and so I think that's where some people do slip. They come out with something very nice, and then it sort of goes downhill. So if you can carry on doing what you've done in Pattaya City Uncovered, I think you've got a winner.
So what do we got to look forward to from the June issue?
For the June issue, we've got lots. We're obviously following it up with a lot more day trips. We've got a lot more fresh content with regards to the guys that are already in there. We've got some brand new people that have seen the first edition and now want to come on board. You know, the real estate section, we didn't really focus a lot on that in the first edition, because I wanted to get the main outset of the magazine, you know, out, and I didn't have enough time to fill that section. But we've already had, you know, 5 or 6 different developers and real estate companies come to us and sign 12-month contracts who want featured adverts in there. So that'll be something very different from the other real estate magazines that are out there, because we're having content in there that we've written ourselves about them. Yeah, that's it really. It's looking very good so far. The first edition was only 80 pages. We're already well over 100 for the second.
Wow, that's quite thick.
Yeah, it's good. It's getting there.
Website, Simon?
Yep, www.pattayacitynuncovered.com. Again, you can subscribe to the e-magazine on there as well. And obviously we're on Facebook. We've got a large following on Facebook, Pattaya City Uncovered again. And we're part of a large sort of social media group where we put everything out. So obviously please come and join that as well.
And do you put the same content on the website that you have on the hard copy?
Yeah, absolutely. We put, obviously you can read the magazine on there as well, but everyone that advertises we push out through all of those mediums.
Yeah, and do they go up at the same time? Does one come before or after the other?
If somebody wants to put their social media on beforehand, then they can do. You know, a couple of days beforehand, that's fine. But normally everything comes out on the first.
Right, and so we know how to contact you on the website. If I want to pick up on a hard copy, give me some places.
Best places are the major shopping centres around town. Soy 6, 7 and 8, all the travel agents, the subways down there, the hotels down there. Just look for the big green tourist information stands with the premier magazine in the bottom there.
And there we go. So if you want to pick up a copy of Pattaya City Uncovered, you now know where to get one from. Thank you very much for coming to tell us all about your magazine. And
Thanks,
best of luck.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. See you soon. We'll be right back.